good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on this earth. Thank you so much for joining Devoted Moms. Today is Thursday, November 21st, and thank you so much for joining us yet again. This is Tasha White with Devoted Moms. Hey, Regina.
Hey, Tasha, how are you?
I am fabulous, actually. I'm doing really well. How about you?
I'm good. Hi, Devoted Moms. Thank you so much for spending another Thursday afternoon, morning, just depending on what time zone you're on, with Tasha and I. And we have a special guest, a really good friend of mine who is going to join in today. You have good friends when you can call them up and 10 minutes later they're doing what you're asking them to do. And so, Devoted Moms, we always talk about creating that support system, and sometimes the support systems are our blood families. Sometimes they are friends that we have acquired in childhood. And then sometimes we're blessed enough to get people as we are in adulthood. And Gifty Johnson, who's with us, is one of those. She is, in fact, a gift. But first, we need to check in. Tasha, you were awesome on Family Feud.
Thank you. If anybody out there saw the show, I actually have on my lucky green shirt that I wore in Family Feud, just because it was such an amazing experience. So I think the biggest thing I learned from it is just to try things. I mean, somebody told me about the audition, and I approached some of my family members, and they were like, "Oh, that's cool. We'll do it." And I think none of us thought it would go any further than sending an email out and just never hearing back from it.
Girl, you don't roll like that.
Right. At least say we tried. And then just the process of audition after audition, and not really knowing if we would make it any further, but very grateful for the moment that we were in. Just to say, well, we auditioned, we have fun, we stepped out there, so if we don't get called, that's okay. Then we got on the show, and Kenny said if we got 0 points, he wasn't going to tell anybody we did the show.
I think that actually did happen at some point.
No, I mean like zero, like no answers at all for the entire show. Because that happens, unfortunately. Get on the show and don't get any questions. And he said he wasn't going to tell anybody, so that was hilarious. So to go from, all right, y'all, let's at least not get 0, to walking out of there with, winning one fast money round, I'm still like, did that really happen? Was that really us? So it was fun. I had a ball, and I loved watching the kids' reactions and having them watch it and watch us on there and congratulate us for our great answers, and then hit us when we had dumb answers. And
No.
It's not easy. I played so much better on the couch. But anyway.
I know. Well, it was fun to watch it. When you all were filming, you filmed over 2.5 days? Or
2 days, yeah.
Days.
Wow.
I was actually engaged to keep Nia. So I'm going to submit an invoice. I'm a godmother, but I got to eat. And since you all won $20,000, I'm just wondering if you're going to break off the babysitter or something.
Right.
I'm just putting it out there. So Devoted Moms, if, put it out there, the worst that can happen. Can I get reimbursed for the Dairy Queen ice cream?
I got you.
It was so much fun in Maryland watching my family on TV. And
right.
Devoted Moms, we're getting some work done in the houses, so we had people coming in measuring windows, and we're all at the table screaming and shouting. And they're just like, what have we walked into?
Right.
And, to be able to say, oh, we know that family. And, the girls were like, that's my godmother and my godfather. So we were by proxy.
Right.
You would have thought we were on there with y'all. So it was so much fun. I am I'm very proud of you all. That took some real guts to. Oh my gosh, I don't know that I don't know if I could have done that, but anyway, we do want to thank Gail Sylvia or Sylvia Global for letting Tasha and I spend some time today. We are here every Thursday, and we get to catch up with each other. Tasha, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I have on my Tuskegee regalia.
I see.
Yay, go Tuskegee University. You know, I was on Facebook yesterday. And was, just checking people's statuses. And a girl I went to, I think I was in elementary school with her, put on that her cousin had passed. And his name is Clyde Mason. And
I saw that.
I was just like, oh my God. Clyde was in school with my oldest brother, Tony. And he was the cutie. I was like the little sister that when, Clyde was around, I was like, hi, Clyde. I mean, I just thought he was the most gorgeous guy. Oh, I had the hugest crush. And then he would indulge me and say, oh, hey, pretty girl. Or, whenever I saw him, our families were friends. And it was just it was so hard to hear that he is no doubt now partying it up in heaven with my brother and a few other folks who have gone before us. And my heart really goes out to his family. And as a sibling who's lost a sibling, I know how hard that is. And I hope never to experience losing a child. I just can really empathize and understand the feeling of losing a sibling. And so, I'm feeling very Tuskegee-ish right now. And so that's one of the reasons why I have on my Tuskegee regalia. And so, big ups to the pride of the swift growing South. And much love to the Mason family. And just knowing that God's got you in his hands and will give you the strength to get through this. And so that, is really just very helpful, to kind of I feel a part of my community because we're still connected. And I have to, again, I thank Facebook for that. So Devoted Moms, if you're living somewhere and, all the people that you grew up with are living somewhere else, the social media has definitely allowed us to reconnect and, just share in the happy times because, we also get lots of congratulations, birthday wishes.
New babies.
Your girls are so cute.
Right.
They're as beautiful as their mother. That's my favorite. I didn't know I was that pretty. I didn't know you thought I was pretty. But, it does. Social media lets us stay connected in a way that we've never been able to before. We couldn't experience that before. And so my week's been pretty good, but that was a sad moment for me yesterday. And it was weird because I spent some time going through some boxes that I hadn't been through in years on Saturday. And I don't think I told you this, Tasha, but I was going through, and there was one box like I had just been avoiding, not really for any particular reason, but I decided to open it up. And it had pictures of you and I back in our college days in bathing suits on South Beach. Oh, girl, I was so fun. Ooh.
I was too, girl.
It also had pictures of my older brother who has passed, Tony, and I, and just lots of a letter from Rachel. Rachel, who went to school with us, wrote me this 2-page letter, and she said, I want you to keep this letter, and in 20 years, I want you to tell me that you still have it. So we're like about 14 now.
14, 15, right.
Yeah. So I'm like, should I wait 6 more years? Because I do have Rachel's number.
I would tell her you still have it.
But I was going through this box and actually reminding myself of who I was before I became mommy and before I became social worker and entrepreneur and wife and divorcee. it was just like, a blast in the past, and all very supportive cards on congratulating me on graduation, and it was just like a gift. But there was some sadness, but it was also, like, wow, I forgot about these days. Can I get that body back?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
So anyway, so my week's been good. I have no complaints. I'm just being very grateful for life. I did join a church, so I now have an official church home. I've been squatting at several churches, but at some point you do have to commit. So I'm excited. I'm excited about that. And I got my little packet yesterday about how I can be connected with my new church home, and so it's been good. It's been really good. And
awesome.
So Tasha, are you getting ready for Thanksgiving?
Well, no. It's been a crazy up and down week. The baby is sick, so I've been at the doctor today with her, and she has a sinus infection, so dealing with that. And the contractors are in and out, and so we're kind of walking through different things and making changes and doing that. So it's been a crazy week, but we're headed for the beach on Tuesday. So sometime this weekend, I do need to get my act together. I need to start washing and packing. I need to get the food together that we're going to make for Thanksgiving. So to answer your question, no. But I am looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to doing the beach at Thanksgiving, which a lot of my other friends have said in the past.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, isn't it? I spent the beach at, for things. I've never done that before. So I will be able to join some of my friends that have been doing it for years and say that I actually spent, Thanksgiving at the beach. So I look forward to we'll be taking a break from Devoted Moms next week, but I look forward to the following week telling you, all about it and, whether it's worth it and if you should add the beach to your Thanksgiving plans for 2014.
Well, I think this is a good time to bring Gifty into our conversation because Gifty and I are going to spend Thanksgiving together.
Yay!
There may be water, but there won't be a beach. I have done the beach during Thanksgiving. My cousin Rick. We were the oddities, and so we didn't have kids, and so we would get together for Thanksgiving in Florida. And
that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
Can't remember a lot of it, but I know we had a good time.
That's all that matters in the end.
That's why you don't remember a lot of it, because you had too much of a good time.
Right.
I'm okay with that. So I want to welcome Gifty. I don't know that Tasha and Gifty have ever met.
We haven't.
But you certainly know lots about each other because I talk about both of you. And so I'm excited. Gifty, how are you?
I'm good. At work. It's busy.
She's at work. So listen, one of the things that I think makes Gifty a fabulous devoted mom is that, for one, Gifty's children and my children met, and at one time we lived in apartments that were in the same building, but we were like across from each other, and we almost turned it into like a mansion because the kids would either be upstairs in my house,
the East Wing and West Wing.
Yeah, they really. Yeah. I think the kids believe that.
Yeah, exactly. And at some point, I'd make the kid food. Gifty would make the real food.
That's awesome.
So there would be nuggets upstairs and peanut butter stew downstairs. And so, hey, Gifty, so one of the things that I also think that I hope that we can talk about is you are originally from Ghana, which is West Africa. And so as we have devoted moms all around the world listening, is there something particular about your experience having grown up in Ghana, come to the United States, and now now you're a mom of 3. What do you think is different when you compare those, that experience?
Well, I've been in this country since I was 12. So, I guess I became a woman here. But I know, being in Ghana's more, well, back then, now it's a little different. Conservative, a lot more conservative back then. Now it's more the millennials have taken over. So it's very westernized, I think. A little too westernized sometimes. Kind of losing the culture a little bit in Ghana, believe it or not. But I mean, the main difference is, of course, and I think it's probably similar in African American communities here. It's very family oriented. When you meet someone, if in a dating situation, the first thing your mom will ask is, "What family do they come from?" So that's very important. Family is huge. Like, we don't have Thanksgiving, but Christmas, there is no such thing as it's more. Which family are you going to spend it with? So it was about however many families you can stack up and go to and eat, really. That was our Christmas celebration, which made it huge. So family is a big deal. Children stay home. Women, children go stay home till you get married. There's no such thing about living on your own unless you're married. So I guess that's the biggest thing. So even now, being here, for me, I have most of my family here. Regina will tell you that family has a lot of influence. So my husband and I and the children live far away from family because we're in Baltimore and everybody else is in Virginia. And yet, I go home as if it's next door because I'm required to. So, it's when I say, "Oh, well, I can't come home. What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Well, it's kind of far and I have 3 kids, but doesn't matter. You have to go home." So I guess that is the big difference. But for me, growing up in Ghana for the first 12 years of my life, just kind of that's where I get my value system from. So no matter how Americanized I'll be, Regina, who knows me a little, will tell you that I still sometimes go back to those core values because that's just who I am. And I think also my mom and my parents really making sure that we don't forget where we come from. So I try, even though my children are born here, I try to instill that in them. And ultimately, I'm like, you are a Ghanaian American. That's what I tell my children. So I try to get them to eat the foods and understand the language. Try.
Yeah. So but, I think I partake in the food part probably more.
Yeah, Regina. Regina.
So Gifty, tell us a little bit about the devoted mom, the devoted children that you have.
Oh wow. I have 3. My oldest is Morgan, who is 7. She is. I mean, I know every mom thinks their kid is special, but Morgan is. She is intelligent, sensitive, hard-headed, beautiful all in one. Just a little bit of everything, but a little bit too much for her own good sometimes. And then I have my middle child, Miles, who is a boy and is a boy in every sense of the word. Likes to jump off couches, but he's also he likes to question everything. He doesn't take anything at face value, so you can't get anything past him. Everything has to have an answer. Why do you want me to do this? Why should I go to bed now when it's not 9 o'clock? Why am I changing it to 8:30? Yeah, that kind of person. But he's loving. He's very caring, and then Mackenzie, who's a feisty 11-month-old. She has a personality of her own. She's unlike any of the other 2. She's feisty, and but she's definitely. I think she kind of woke up all of us up a little bit. When you have between Miles and her 5-year difference, it's a different thing going on in the house. But she regulates us really. So whatever. Regina will tell you, if she cries, we jump. When she cries, all of us, my husband and the 2, like, what's wrong? What does Mackenzie need? Oh God,
Right.
So we're happy. And Regina says, well, you've taught her how to behave because when she cries, we really jump. and we are her beck and call. So those are my three.
But she's such a darling. I mean, and Tasha, you have, a number 3. I think both of you all are amazing for that. I like to borrow folks' children for number 3.
Right.
And return them.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the number or what it is, but I mean, I've heard people say in the past that, oh, this child runs this house, or she's, and I always used to wonder what that meant, because I didn't experience that with the other two. If I said, bedtime is at 8:30, they go to bed at 8:30. If I say it's dinner time, they come sit down, they sit at the table, they sit the entire time and have dinner, and then we all get up. And the third one does not seem to appreciate any of the rules that have already been set for the last 15 years. She's like, I eat, and then I get up, and I go do my thing, and then I come back, and I sit down and eat, and I stand up at the table. And sometimes I sit on the table, and sometimes I crawl on the table to the other side to get my brother or my sister. And no matter how much I say no, or get down, or everybody else is sitting down, Nia, why aren't you sitting down? Nothing has worked. No strategy. All my different strategies that have worked in the past do not work. I feel like a brand new mother. So I understand with that third. She's so feisty and so different and demanding, and definitely knows what she wants. She's not wishy-washy about her needs. She's very clear, and I think that's gonna be awesome as an adult woman. She's gonna be very clear about what she wants to do in life and what kind of partner she wants in life. But it's gonna be very interesting raising a child like that, especially when the teenage years roll around. So
I know.
Pray for me. Just pray for me.
Just this morning, my husband was trying to change her shirt, the baby, Mackenzie, and she's fighting and doesn't want to. And he says, I feel like you're going to be the one to protect Morgan, who's the oldest.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Our house, too.
Yeah. Well,
she beats up her brother.
It's funny because, Gifty will share with me, what it was like growing up in Ghana, her 12 years there. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it sometimes sounds so harsh. But the way she's chose to parent her children is very loving. And so, Gift, how do you make that transition? Because sometimes we call it going to our natural core, going to our DNA,
right?
Instead of strategizing. How do you do that? How do you kind of create that balance?
I think I have to make a conscious effort, because as I'm not a very lovey-dovey type of person, and because that's just not how we were raised. You were you had to we didn't do hugs and none of that in my family. Not just in the family, it was just culturally, it's not one of those things, Americans, they loving and hug, you knew your parents loved you, but your parents were more disciplinarians and you respected them. It was more like military style. It wasn't very loving. So for me, it has to be a conscious effort. So, and I think God knew that, giving me a daughter who wants that kind of very loving. Morgan is extremely sensitive, and sometimes I even have to go to Regina and say, she would come out of the blue and say, I love you, Mommy, and I'm like, I love you too. What do you need? Because that's and so it's really just being around people that kind of been teaching me how to do this. And Regina has been huge in my life, because she would tell, I was just not used to some of these things, and actually looking at her as a child, because growing up, the only example I had of children were supposed to be respected, and you're supposed to revere your parents, and that was the relationship that you had. Yeah. So you didn't make eye contact. You didn't make jokes with your parents. You didn't laugh. Ever, because it could be seen as disrespectful. So I'm learning, and I've learned a lot now. I think I'm better. I'm getting better, being more softer, listening and laughing at jokes even when I don't think it's funny, but it's not about me. It's about them.
Right.
And changing it, because I don't want the pattern to continue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want them to know that mom can be a loving place and not this hard disciplinarian that only chastises you, but also, you know, shows a loving thing. So yeah, sometimes it's almost a struggle
right.
but I have to always remember and remind myself. And so I think I'm getting better. And again, it's surrounding myself with people like Regina, and I could see the different parenting and go, oh, okay, so this is how you do things. Because if it was just up to my family, like, you know, hugging my son or something, or kissing, I think we went home, an example, we went to Virginia, and I was hugging the kids, and I think I kissed them on the lips or something, and my aunt looked at me like, why would you do that? And I said, it's something we do all the time. But it was, I mean, that just tells you the difference.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You kiss your kids, and why?
And you know, we talk about that a lot on the show, about, you know, to our devoted moms, about making sure that you have a support system around you. And I think that God is very, very on purpose with the people that he puts into our lives. And, you know, Regina and I parent differently, but it makes just kind of this complete circle. And I know that my kids get things from her that they don't get from me, or I learn from her on ways that I want to do better with my kids, and then vice versa. And I think that's exactly what we should be in each other's lives, you know. And so and also recognizing that that's a gift and not something that should be looked at as, well, we parent differently, or we think differently on this subject, so, you know, maybe we're just not meant to be friends. You know, some people would take that stance that, well, since she's different, you know, there's no way that we could be friends. But we look at it the complete opposite, in that, you know, my daughter and my children can get things from her they may not be able to get from me, because I can't be 100%. This is one of your lines. I can't be 100% of something for one person. Yeah. We're just not wired that way.
Right. And it's interesting, because we've all three, what I know that we have in common, because I guess I'm a common denominator, is we all grew up with moms that weren't necessarily touchy-feely. My mom, I think, wanted to be, but her mother wasn't. And so I grew up maybe hugging, you know, like having to go and hug somebody. But always initiating it. And my grandmother would cringe when I would hug her. Like, you know, she would literally tense up. And we never took it as like she didn't want us to touch her. She was just, that was how she was. But then, you know, you couldn't leave her house without something in your hand, something she's given you. She was forever cooking and providing, you know.
That's how she showed her love
in a different kind of way. And so it's funny because, you know, I think, Tasha, you said that your mom's very, you know, similar, just not a lot of display of affection, I guess.
No, I mean, in her house, you know, she lost her mother. Her mother was in and out of, you know, mental institutions before she passed, so she didn't really know her mother that well. And then she passed, I believe my mom was around 12 or 13. And, you know, and my grandfather, you know, I bring home the bacon, I provide, that's what I do. We don't laugh, we don't talk, we don't spend time together out, you know, that kind of thing. And so, she came from a situation where she didn't learn it. And so my brother and I are very affectionate. And sometimes, you know, we'll hug on her and kiss, you know, and she's like, all right, you know. And now as adults, we do it on purpose. You know, we won't let her go. And we're like, whoa! You know, and it's kind of funny. But so it's definitely, it's something that I've always wanted and had in me. So it's second nature for me to do it with my kids. And sometimes even my kids are like, okay, enough, Mom, you know. Except for KJ. He loves it. KJ's my sensitive little bear.
And I think one of the things, my girls will now come to me and say, I just need a hug. Can I get a hug? And, you know, for me, my initial reaction sometimes is, you know, well, what do you want? Or like, that's in my head, but I know where that's coming from. And I do, sometimes I'm like, no, go and do what I said first, and then you
can get a hug.
So, you know, I'm challenged with that, but then I think about like how that would how I would feel as a child. Like, I've got to go do this in order for my mom to show affection.
Yeah.
And what I've allowed myself to do is say, I'm sorry. You asked for a hug. I'm sorry you had a bad day. Let me give you a hug. Can you now go do what I asked you?
Right. You could do both. You could do both.
Can we? And now the word is compromise. Mommy, I have a compromise. How is this for a compromise?
Right.
And so it's fun, but we really, even though continents apart, our experiences are very similar, and we decide how much we want to keep the good stuff, and how much we want to change the things that may have not done us as well.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, let me take a quick minute to thank Sylvia Global for the opportunity to do the show and to, chat with my best friend every single Thursday is truly a gift, and so we thank Sylvia Global for that today. Right. And I want to reintroduce Gifty Johnson. She's another devoted mom that's joining us today, and one of our prior guests couldn't make it, and she's one of those friends that was on speed dial, and so we so appreciate you joining us today, because although Regina and I do like to discuss back and forth, just the two of us, but we do like to bring different perspectives in for our devoted mom listeners so they don't get bored or tired of us. But I wanted to talk about something we've kind of talked about, and this is going to go a little deep, so but we've talked about before when we had Carlos on, and we talked about rape, and we talked about the way that the country views it, the way it's been in the news, especially politically a few years ago, how we are still dealing with what did she wear and what did she do to deserve it, and that kind of thing. And what brings it up, because today is Thursday, and we all know today is Scandal Thursday, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So there's an article that I ran across with some females discussing the scene last week when Millie was raped by her father-in-law, and the sacrifices she made, and how just a different how it just progressed from that moment on, almost how she instantly changed, how her personality and her character instantly changed at that moment, and we saw the new Millie almost transformed. But what I thought was cool about the website was the different perspectives, and how it had 5 or 6 different women kind of chiming in on what this meant, how this looks, where is Shonda going with this, the good, the bad, the ugly. So I just thought that it would be kind of an interesting conversation to, talk about and get your thoughts on that.
Gifty is one of my co-scandal watchers.
Gladiators, rise up. Are you a gladiator or are you all right, no,
gladiator. Depends on what day it is.
Right.
So, Gifty, what did you think of last week's show? I mean,
I remember getting extremely, almost weirdly nervous at that, because right after that they cut to commercial, and I thought, oh, what was that for? Like that was so the scene with the father-in-law and Millie, it was unexpected. So I was kind of got nervous a little bit, but then it kind of made sense. By the end, and I wish the show was every day, because now I'm like, I can't wait. What happens? Right. The fact that Fitz's son is actually his brother. I don't know, but it's kind of interesting. But I thought those kind of things always make me nervous, and because of some stuff that I've experienced, but it just always makes me nervous. And I never, it's always one of those things that, as women, it's really hard to, especially if you don't confide in anybody, and also to have to live like that. And I think, the first things women do is blame themselves and say, it's my fault, perhaps I shouldn't have been there, whatever the case may be. And then, it's even more painful when society says, well, you shouldn't have worn that, been there,
Right.
Looked a certain way, talked a certain way. So
Right.
Right. I agree.
It's never
Yeah.
easy. Never easy.
Yeah. And I also think, well, for me, I was on the treadmill yesterday. I'm, devoted moms. I'm sticking with my committing to going to the gym at least twice a week.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't go Tuesday because I went to the girls' school for a little thing they were doing. So I was on the treadmill and I had not seen it yet because last Thursday I was driving to see Best Man Holiday.
Oh.
They
Well,
had
you're
a
excused. That's a good excuse.
So I like saw it. I've seen it twice. So anyway, I didn't get my scandal on. And then here we are at Thursday already. So yesterday, I realized my gym has Wi-Fi, and I put on my little earbuds and I watched Scandal while doing these heel intervals. And luckily, okay. So sidebar, there's a guy there that had Tourette's. God bless people who experience that. And so every once in a while, he would just shout out something. So when I'm shouting out, oh my God, I'm not looking really,
Yeah.
Nobody's paying attention. Because they've been used to this guy shouting out, oh gosh, he was shouting out like some like Barney character or something.
Okay.
Anyway, so when I was doing this reacting and I'm walking and I'm like, oh no, are you kidding me? I'm on a treadmill and they're probably like, gee, what is this like special, the time for special people? But I didn't see it coming, and
Right.
I have to say I've been judging. I'm guilty. I judge Millie.
Right.
I think she I have, and so it made me. It reminded me that everyone has a story, and even though people might be at this place where they just seem cold and calculated and without feelings, if we just can allow them to, if we can allow ourselves to understand that humans go through really tough things. There's no human that hasn't. And to just kind of show a little bit of grace and compassion like God shows us. I now kind of, I just, Millie took one for the team, the country, the state. But I don't know if I could have not told Fitz when he was in that, righteous moment.
Right.
I have done, I have experienced some things. I don't know how she held it in.
And I think that's why now it makes sense that she has so much anger with him for, kind of almost dismissing her and seeing her as this, you're just my wife, kind of, shut up and sit down. But because he's unaware of this sacrifice, I don't even know if you call it a sacrifice, but this sacrifice that.
Right. And
Would you have told your husband?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh, yeah. I would have been screaming out of there. And, I would have just been...
But I have a theory.
I would have lost
we'll see tonight.
Okay, so what's your theory, Tosh?
I have a theory that Fitz knows. I have a theory that he might have walked downstairs and heard something and went back upstairs because of the hold that his dad has on him. So strong. And because when she went upstairs and he wouldn't let her go to the shower and he wanted to hold on to her and he said, we can go ahead and go home tomorrow morning. Just out of the blue. He's like, we can just go ahead and go home tomorrow morning. And she was like, okay. I don't know. I'm just feeling like, and I could be way off, so we'll see. But I think it kind of speaks to the father always being the master and Fitz being the puppet. And he didn't have the strength to stand up to his dad ever. And when he came downstairs and he was kind of ready to go, and then she was like, no, your dad has something to say, that also showed him what kind of woman Millie was going to be. Yeah, this just happened, and she's about to just, be okay. And so I don't know. That's my theory. Yeah. Devoted moms. I could be dead wrong, but we'll see.
I have to say, I just kept on thinking, because, right after she's pregnant.
Right.
And Fitz has been saying he had been trying to get her pregnant. And so,
Right.
sometimes when we think about rape, it's not just the trauma of the violation at that time.
Yeah.
But there are these other, this other cartilage left over.
Right. Right.
That sometimes is in the form of like a person. There have been a number of folks who have been created out of a sexual assault.
Right.
Yep.
And so I'm now wondering, they never talk about the kids. It's very peripheral. And so, in typical Shonda Rhimes, here she is now starting to peel back yet another
layer. Yeah.
Oh my God. So then I'm thinking, okay, so this is how I'm thinking, Gifty, right? Fitz can't have children because Olivia's never gotten pregnant that we know of yet.
Right.
So did Millie go back to the father for all of the other children?
I don't know.
I don't know if she did, but I know with the last baby, didn't she get it inserted somehow? Right? Because she really wanted to be pregnant. So I don't know if you remember season 2.
Yeah, I remember that.
Somehow went into the doctor's office and then boom, she was pregnant. And it wasn't fit. So maybe you're right.
Yeah, there could be some theory around that. Yeah.
The other child could be Cyrus's. Since we're being ridiculous.
That would be beyond ridiculous.
Okay, going back to getting deep with Tasha. To the devoted moms, the thing I think the takeaway here is that, one, real life is really difficult. I think the other takeaway is that we have got to, part of our survival as humans is that we have to have a way of handling some very difficult situations. And in no way are we making light of the violation that Millie experienced.
Right.
It's just that, thank God this is TV and this isn't me sitting across from my girlfriend and her having to tell me she experienced this, because it would be a completely different conversation.
Completely different.
And we know that when we're talking about fictitious stuff, it is based on real life.
Oh, yeah.
But it allows us to investigate our feelings in a different way than if it were, like if this was a biography of one of our first ladies.
Right.
It would really be a different conversation. And it also helps us to escape from our own realities, and just really go out there and be crazy with, Hunger Games 2 is coming out on tonight. And tomorrow, and I've got friends who are like so excited about it coming out. Me, I'm like, the first one was based on kids killing each other, and the winner is the one who killed everybody else. I can't get with that. That's not entertaining for me.
I'm good on that one.
Yeah, so I go deep in these places, and then I am very shallow in quite a few others.
But I also think, the bigger picture is that these kind of assaults that happen to women is sexual. There is no barrier. Like, it crosses all lines. So any woman can be affected. Most powerful woman, the woman at the corner, anybody can be affected. And that is really the message there, is that none of us are immune to that.
That's true.
Did you think that culture played a role into how she handled it, though?
Oh yeah, I think her surrounding played a role, because if she that minute didn't think about herself, and again, it came with kind of what Tasha said in the beginning, is I think she probably feared about being victimized again, and people saying, well, maybe she made herself available. The general would never do that if she didn't coerce him or something like that.
Exactly.
I think that her circumstance created a role in the way that she handled it. She chose to handle it.
Right.
That's a good way to think of it.
Yeah. Wow. So, I think that we are probably going to be wrapping up. And so, Gifty, you've heard me tell you or talk to you about, the show, and I'm so glad you could be here with us today. But one of the things that we share as we're wrapping up is a God story. And very similar to Tasha and I, Gifty, I'll get a phone call from Gifty. I've got to tell you this. I've got to tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that opportunity, devoted moms, for us to just identify when we think there's a higher power. We know that there's a higher power in place, catching us and making themselves known as being supreme. And so, Gifty, I don't know if you have a God story that maybe you want to share.
Yeah, I'll tell one real quick because I have to go.
Okay.
But I think so. Last week, I think, Regina, you know this, my daughter, Morgan, the sensitive one, she did something and I said, you can't watch TV anymore or something. And she kind of acted out very uncharacteristically for her. And so I was telling my husband about it and I said, what she did was really interesting because the way that she chose to respond to her punishment was it was way too much, like as if there's something there, like she's really angry at me or something. So my husband then says, well, yesterday while I was talking to Morgan, she shared with me that she feels ignored, that since the baby came that we don't care for her, we don't love her, and all, very deep stuff, for her, and she was hurt. And so it clicked right away, and I thought, that's why she's so angry, like how
Right.
long she's been holding on to this, I don't know. Morgan is one of those children that don't talk about everything, that
Right.
she does hold things inside,
Mm-hmm.
and will just kind of burst out. And so it was just God that morning as we're getting ready for school that she, that the day before she'd confided in my husband about feeling neglected by me and not feeling loved and all these things. And then reacted, and that was everything just kind of came together. And then so it gave me an opportunity to actually re-examine and say, you know what, you're right. Since the baby came, unconsciously we have diverted all of our attention to the baby and we have forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that the connection that her and I had, we haven't had that. And the little things that we used to do, like go to Barnes and Noble together or take her grocery shopping with me, I hadn't done that. And so I thank God for kind of in a weird way showing me that I needed to be there for her. And it's one of those, can be 100% to everything, but I think in this case I dropped the ball big time. And if that hadn't happened, I hadn't gotten that revelation, God only knows how she would have acted out, whether it would have been in school or against somebody else or something. And I just, it made me realize a lot. And it wasn't just with her. I had to then refocus and say, wow, even Miles, the way that Miles had been acting, where I've been saying, oh, he's just a rambunctious boy, perhaps he also needs attention. But it just, I just thank God that got that real.
Oh, I think we might have lost her.
I think we lost her, but I'm so glad that we were able to get her God story before she left. And thank you so much, Gifty, for joining us today. Do you have a God story, Regina?
My God story actually had to do with Gifty. She is just an incredible person and friend. But on Monday, something told me not Monday, I'm sorry, it was on, was it yesterday? Yesterday. Something told me to just call her and check in on her. She hadn't been feeling well, and I didn't really want anything. I think I was calling to ask about something trivial. And I ended up waking her up. And she was supposed to have been up and out of the house on her way to work.
Uh-oh.
And so this was Tuesday. And so I called her, and she said, "Oh my God, I'm just waking up. I don't feel well." And she drives 45 minutes to take her daughter, her baby, to the babysitter, and then another 45 minutes to work.
Mm-hmm.
And it was already like 8:45. And so I said, let me take Mackenzie for you. And she said, oh my God, that would be so helpful.
Right.
And then I got there, and her son and her daughter usually catch the bus. I walk in, and she says, they missed the bus. And I said, that's okay. It's okay. I got you. I said, I'll take them to school, and then I, will take Mackenzie out to Columbia. And the reason why that's a God story for me is that one, I don't take lightly when my friends trust me with their children. This is my most, their most precious assets. These are the people, this is like the precious commodity. And so whenever I'm allowed to, like when I kept Nia, so you won't be getting the invoice, I feel very privileged. And also for her children to come very naturally to me. Mackenzie was smiling, totally oblivious of everything that was going on.
Right.
And I had the privilege of taking her kids to school, trying to figure out what that looked like. And then, trucked it out 45 minutes to take Mackenzie to her the lady who takes care of her, who immediately was like, Mickey!
Oh.
It was a reminder of what a privilege it is to give. And I have friends who step up for me so often. And so whenever I'm able to do that, I know that, it's God, that I didn't have a meeting to go to. And I was kind of down about like not having a meeting to go to. but that God allowed me in my life right now to make me available to support my friends and my friends who need me. And so, I got to snuggle a little bit with this sweetie pie, and and Morgan and Miles got to show me their school, and then I came back and did the things I needed to do. The hiccup didn't disrupt. It was very, very self-serving. Even though I'm sure she was like, hallelujah. And she was, so that's my God story. I felt like I was in service, and I was able to say, I'm on my way. And let me help you with this. And then she allowed me, because, I'm not going to necessarily take everybody up on that offer with my children. I'm really not. So do you have a God story?
I do. It's been somewhat of a roller coaster of a week for me. And so Saturday I had my Rodan and Fields training all day, and it was a great training. I was excited about learning new stuff and then passing it on to my team members. And then it ended with kind of a God story from one of the consultants who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, breast cancer, in January. And so she's been going through chemo, a few surgeries, and she's about to have radiation. And she just kind of first spoke about just the relationships that she's met and had with Rodan and Fields, and one of the reasons why she's stuck with the business is because of that, and how everybody's kind of stepped up and really been an inspiration and a support to her while she's going through these hard times. And then she also wanted to continue to build her business, because in case she's not going to be here, she can leave this business to her children. And sometimes we have different excuses, and I won't even say excuses, but situations that happen in our life, and we use that situation to say, well, there's no way I could work my business now because fill in the blank. And for her, she did the complete opposite, because who would not have understood if she had said, I can't run my own business anymore, I just can't do this anymore. She did the complete opposite, and even grew her business and grew up to the highest level you can get to in this time span of finding out that she, is battling cancer. So that really kind of, put me in a certain mindset for the rest of the evening, and just kind of had me thinking bigger picture and things like that. And then when I got home, I received a call that my really, really good friend's husband passed away suddenly, just doing yard work, and passed away in the backyard. And he was healthy, and that makes you kind of question your mortality, because it wasn't based on anything. It was just, he just went home. And so to have those two experiences happen have really just put a lot, just kind of changed my perspective on things, and really trying to find the nuggets in what I'm supposed to learn from this all happening basically in one day. And so I just thank God for allowing me to first pray and be with the people that are experiencing this, but then I know that it happened in my circle and in my world for a reason. And just knowing that I have a God I can go to cry to pray to question, and to say what can I learn from. So it was really a moment that we've connected, and since then have connected, on another level. And so that's God's story this week. And so I will be going to a funeral tomorrow. I know I'm going to be a wreck, and that's okay. And
appropriately,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so just devoted moms out there, if you do believe in the power of prayer, I just ask for your prayers for my good friend who lost the love of her life, and finding her way, and all of us finding our way, because we're such a couple-centric group of friends, and just finding our new way with each other.
Yeah, that's tough. And again, devoted moms, for those who are near the United States, next week for us is Thanksgiving.
Right.
And these hard moments that we go through in life really do remind us that we have lots to be grateful for, and no, the next hour is not promised to anyone. And so,
right.
Tasha, if I haven't told you lately, I love you very much, and
I
thank God for you. And Carl, we love you very much, and we thank God for you. And I think for us, Thanksgiving isn't just about giving thanks about America being created. It really is a time that reminds us of just how blessed we are, and how grateful we are for what we've been given. And and so I just, devoted moms, we love you very much. We pray for you, and we will continue to invite you into our lives, and we just hope that in some small way that we are creating maybe a little bit of relief, a little bit of laughter, maybe some information as Tasha and I continue to do life together. So big ups for the Turkey Day next week.
Yay!
We will be on a little bit of a hiatus with our families, and so we will actually see you in a couple of weeks. And so, want to take us out?
Yeah, take us out. We have a great Thanksgiving, devoted moms, and we will catch you in December. It will be December next time we see you. That is just craziness. How does this holiday in December always creep up on me every single year? Why? How?
Yes.
I don't know. But
when
anyway,
we come back, we are going to have to talk about how to survive December.
Yes, that's going to be a great topic. We might have to stretch it out through the month of December.
Yeah.
All righty. Thanks for joining us. We love you all. Regina, I will see you on the other side, darling.
All right, sweetie. Namaste.